Well, this is a fun one. Why? Because of the fact that I've never actually done a kind of like in-game story thing based on my characters. So, let's go. Part of this was because of the fact that people are often like, "Oh, why have you decided that you're definitely going to use X, Y, and Z on that character instead of whatever the meta says?" Blah blah blah. Well, to a large extent, that is in fact because of the fact that, well, the meta stuff isn't necessarily all that, but also the fact that um, characters have history and historical reasons for having things is something that I find to be worthwhile for making a character distinctive and different from the others. Like half of these geared things, you're just like, what? Why would you bother with that? Well, you see, it's not necessarily an important reason. For rather trivial reasons, quite frankly. Like, do I actually need to bother with this? No, but I felt like doing it. I don't even know what unstable boom is. Seriously, I have not paid attention. Yeah, this is that really. 3 out of 4 pieces are rep gear. The fourth one is a story mission reward item that isn't actually all that good, which is why I'm using a Romulan kit instead. Because reason. Oh, I actually have the story kit. Problem with it is that it comes with willpower times 3, and you can't reverse engineer it to make it stop doing that. One of the worst kit frames in the game because of the fact that it's stuck at willpower times 3. Yeah, it's a big reason. Anyway, though, this is my first character in Star Trek Online, a character created before I knew how to use the tailor properly, which resulted in the character's face having a bunch of pink spots going up the sides of her neck, and it's hard to tell with this hairstyle, but she also has this red thing on her forehead. Actually, I could just switch costumes. One of the really. Yeah, let's go. I see. You can see the red thing on her forehead. How did those things end up there? Because I screwed up while attempting to make an alien as an Orion. Yeah, I originally when I started playing the game, decided that I wanted to have to play as an Orion, but at that time you needed to get a Federation character to level 8 before you could create a KDF character. Then you could create a KDF character who is actually an Orion. Well, I decided to make an alien character look like an Orion and messed it up. The pink hair was fully intentional. So the spots on the side of the neck gave me the idea that oh, hey, here's an idea. Just make the character a Orion hybrid, so that the character isn't, you know, just an Orion. It's an Orion slash whatever. I mean, oh, this was my main character. So that's a thing that comes up. And to be quite honest, I like that. I think it's just not the way it originally planned it. Anyway, though, so why does the character use a dedicated rainbow build? Oh, yes, I went to a considerable amount of time and effort building a dedicated rainbow build on this one because of the fact that I created this character way back in the old days of season 4, of Star Trek Online, and ended up having the character's gear defined by a version of the skill system that no longer exists. And I built the Rainbow build to work with that older skill system. Which, yes, a lot of people tell me that Rainbow builds are actually better now than they were back then. Mm. Which is actually kind of, sort of, to me, a reason to keep it and not to get rid of it. Anyway, though, I actually made it because of the fact that it was kind of sort of like trolling people. It's like, oh, hey, I'm playing Rainbow. And they're like, no, you're DPS. But that actually does good DPS. Because when you actually go all in on the Rainbow stuff, you can mix and match a whole bunch of rep sets to give it a little bit of extra panache in terms of having an actual good setup. Oh, and this. Back before when T5 ships were the latest and greatest, she actually used to fly a Galaxy X. So I decided, like, hey, Legendary Dreadnought Cruiser. Yeah, I'll just have her fly that. Which, quite honestly, a lot of people think. A lot of people hate it when you use beam overload and don't use DBB. Yeah, well, whatever. This thing's turn rate isn't quite good enough to be able to consistently keep everything in the right firing arc when I'm using DBB. And also, the rep sets that I'm using don't come with DBB anyways, so I'm just going to use single arrays. As for this weird assortment of ground gear, the weapon choice is actually something that I kind of sort of go with for the Men in Black theme. Of course, why go with the Men in Black theme? Uh, that is actually just something that I came up with at random one day. I don't actually 100% remember why I bothered with that. I just like the idea of oh, wait, that's right. I originally came up with the Men in Black theme as part of a Foundry mission. And then I had this character dress up with it because of the fact that we got a new costume in the game that worked better for the whole Men in Black thing than the previous ones that we had, which was that mission where you talked to the Abraham Lincoln hologram on that Excalibur planet. Works really nice for a Men in Black thing. The only issue is it has a few. You can't recolor the buttons to hide the buttons. Buttons are just like stuck being silver apparently. And it has a few buttons in place that are Men in Black, so you shouldn't. But whatever, minor inconvenience. Moving on. All right, so that was this character. Who is next? Next, we have Beltran, my second character, because he is the Orion that I created when I got the first one to level 8. Now, Beltran was a character that I decided early on should be an Orion pirate. He works for the Klingon Empire, but he is not, shall we say, loyal to the Empire. His primary loyalty is actually the Syndicate, which is why when this thing got added to the game, I decided that I had to have him fly one because of the fact that, and it's a T6 Orion ship. That in and of itself made it something that I wanted him to have because it's the thing that Osira flies in Discovery as her flagship. This immense but bizarre looking thing that is actually in Star Trek Online extremely good as a ship, but not something that you necessarily, shall we say, immediately understand the logic behind how it looks, flies and stuff. And of course, his bridge officer roster, he has some Klingons, but he has more Orions and um, non-Klingons because of the fact that the whole like Orion pirate thing. He's really kind of sort of it's the whole like pirate crew of assorted people. Because having of Federation characters, like, oh well, we need to talk to the Federation. We'll have the Federation person on the crew talk to the Federation while we do other stuff, and so on and so forth. One of the most amusing things about this particular bridge officer is that you can rename the bridge officer. So on some of the characters that I have using her, I came up with funny names. With like one of my characters actually just renamed her Dr. Sealar. Oh boy. Anyway though, so yeah, that's also something that's like this guy actually had a dedicated disruptor build until the Emerald Change Juggernaut came out. At which point he switched to Viridian Plasma because of the fact that it's Emerald Chain Juggernaut and Viridian Plasma is what they come with for some reason. Now that's an interesting question. Why is it plasma in the previous Orion ships used Disruptor? Or is it that the previous Orion ship should have used plasma and not Disruptor? Inquiring minds will never have answers because I don't think the answers really exist. Next up is a character that is one of the most egregious examples of me just making crap up that doesn't fit with the in-universe story. Viridian. I decided I wanted to play a Vorta because logic and reasons. Well, also, it's like when I first tried playing KDF, I found it to be highly disappointing and stopped playing KDF almost entirely until Legacy of Romulus, when they revamped the KDF stuff to actually be good. Because for several years, KDF, in order to level up your character, you had to grind dailies just to get XP. But I need to explain how disappointing that is. Yeah. Didn't have story missions to level up. Nope, nope, nope. And of course, that was back before they added doffing to the game, where nowadays you can just grind duty officer missions for your XP. Even so. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. That the logic behind why Melati's ship uses Aegis. That's because I built that Aegis at Memory Alpha before Dilithium was added to the game. I've had it that long and just use it on that character. This character, because of the fact that she's a Vorta, I always wanted her to be able to fly Dominion ships. So I was ecstatic when they came out with the expansion, adding a whole bunch of these Dominion things that we can fly. Really love having her fly those. Why does she use the Borg set? Um, the same sort of plastic logic as why Melati has the Aegis set is because of the fact that I decided that I just wanted to have her use it. This is actually the only character I bothered getting the full Borg set on, because when I got this set, I got it by grinding Borg TFO pugs, and this was back when queued TFOs were actually not repped and stuff. Like, I actually bought this Borg set for encrypted data chips at the Task Force Omega office. I only actually bothered upgrading this with 50 because, like, okay, yes, this does technically give you bonuses, but relatively small ones. Like, it's just the flight speed and flight turn rate that go up a tiny amount. That's not really a lot. Again, ideally I would max these out, but I haven't bothered. Like, again, the stats on this, it's not chosen for the stats. It's more of the aesthetics, honestly. Fun fact with this actually used to be a four-piece set. The console here used to be part of the engine shield deflector set, and that's the reason why there's two um, three-piece set bonuses. The assembly attractor used to require you to have four pieces equipped. When they broke it up into and created the weapon set, because originally we didn't have a weapon set for Omega Task Force. Um, yeah, this is a completely new set. Wait, what even is reactive deflection? Oh, I'm genuinely not even sure what that does. But the fact that it's a 1% chance to trigger, I don't care. Anyway, so I gave her the Borg set back when uh, grinding TFOs for Borg was actually kind of sort of hard. And, back when people would hug the one where you have to fight Rebecca Simmons in that room full of liquid plasma. And I ground to get the encrypted data chips for that reason. Anyway, though, I don't have her use Polaron because of the fact that um, she didn't have a Dominion ship back when I created the character, so I had the character use assorted phasers. Yes, I have had her using this for a very, very long time. The retrofit phaser, that is. Biomolecular phaser, again, got that a long time ago. Biomolecular. Oh, right. This is the anti-undine reputation set, which I picked solely because of the fact that it's green. This one's blue, this one's green, and this one's a sort of reddish color. It's a pseudo rainbow setup for phaser because stuff and reasons. Also, they're all things that are Federation adjacent, not standard Federation color for Star Trek Online. Her crew, well, it's just a whole bunch of random weird people because some of these are characters that I got. Well, this is actually the old tutorial bridge officer back from like before they added Elisa Flores to the game. This is who you would get in the tutorial. It used to be it was actually a choice of an Andorian, a Vulcan, and a Bolian. The Vulcan was the science officer. The Bolian was an engineer. Literally, none of my characters chose the Bolian engineer because of the fact that I have the pre-order bonus for this Borg bridge officer, and I figure it's like, okay, why get an engineer if I already have an engineer? Actually, quite a good officer though, especially back in the old days when efficient was good and people actually cared about efficient as a space trait. I know, shocking. People nowadays are like, oh, who needs that? It used to be that it actually gave you the ability to have power levels that were above average, not, recovering power levels to average if your power levels fall below average. Because, let's face it, nothing in the game currently has enough energy drain for anyone to care. Yes, the old days. Were they good? Probably not. Anyway, though, uh, I actually went and bought the low-buy Gemini set for her because of the fact that they just fit the character concept when it was introduced, and decided to have the her use the visuals of the ground. You can actually still get this in the low-buy store. It is still available as a costume unlock in the low-buy store. It's just you don't need to buy the low-buy version to get the gear now. When they added the gear upgrade system to the game, they made it so that the story mission version turns into the low-buy version when you upgrade it, which is actually insanely broken because the low-buy version effectively has 8 modifiers. Like when you compare it to like a standard body armor, like see how this like has the three things in brackets. Well, this has reg HP times three twice, and reg shield twice. So it's functionally the equivalent of a body armor that has reg HP times six. Yeah, there's a reason why I use it for a lot of things. That passive health regeneration is completely off the deep end. These are something I just like threw on my bridge officers because it's quick and easy to get a purple quality body armor that's actually not bad. Anyway, though, but I also kind of sort of like did her our ground. Oh yeah, I didn't explain the ground builds. Melati's ground build is a fabrication specialist engineer. I decided to go with that back when kits frames weren't modular, and you needed to choose a frame, and the frame came with a bunch of kit abilities built into the frame, and you choose a kit frame for the abilities that it comes with. I decided, in Melati's case, to go with the fabrication specialist because of the fact that turrets are useful. And quite frankly, in the old days, a lot of the engineer kits were focused around buff debuff things that didn't really work on their own. Like having quick fix. Like, okay, you can use it on yourself to buff yourself, but the main benefit of quick fix is using it to repair turrets. However, does the kit frame that comes with quick fix actually have a turret that you can repair with it? Yeah, that's a fun question. Anyway, though, uh, in Beltrad's case, I decided to go with a Iron Man style build for ground combat, where it's like heavily offense focused, but he gets defense from his gear, so you know, which fits like with that whole Iron Man suit. It's like he has a suit of power armor, where it's the suit that keeps him from getting shot to death and stuff. Anyway, for this character, I decided to go with a Dark Jedi theme because the fact that for to have psionic abilities, and for to have actually been seen doing something that is kind of sort of like force power, so I decided to go with a Dark Jedi theme, which is why she uses a dual nano mech lens. And has a whole bunch of kit modules that, while they're not necessarily the same as things that you see people you doing with force powers, the things that are close enough to be vaguely reminiscent of them. Like this one's like using the force to just crush things into a giant hole. It's actually really, really nice kit. Also, these kit modules were chosen because of the fact that they actually do something that's good, not solely for the aesthetics. Like this one, it makes a lattice of electrical things that kind of sort of look like force lightning, but unlike the force lightning the way it works in the Star Wars movies, it isn't a bolt you project from your hand. Granted, the game does have some of those in the current state. It's just that for this particular build, I decided to go with pure science modules as much as possible. Like, yes, I know that's universal, but these aren't. 3 out of her 4 damage dealing modules are pure science, which, of course, is chosen not for aesthetic reasons. It's actually chosen for mechanical reasons because of the fact that it triggers this biochemist duty officer. Minus 40 damage resistance rating. Yeah, they do. Especially when the kit already applies negative damage resistance rating. Not this one. What are the other ones? Oh, oh I'm thinking of a different one. Anyways, though, enough about this guy. I'm probably going to have to make a video series for this. Next character is a character that the game thinks is a Cation, but for story reasons, I decided to go with the idea that he's a Kazinti. Why? Because Star Trek the Animated Series has Kazinti in it, and I thought that was a fun episode. So, making a cat person alien, I decided I wanted to go with the idea that it's Kazinti. Now, in Star Trek, there are actually multiple cat person alien type races, which gets a little interesting. This guy also is currently using the old Jim Hadar set, but that's more because of the fact that I didn't bother replacing it. Also, is that with this character, because of the fact that Kazinti in their original setting that they were in have psionic abilities, I decided to go with stuff that's kind of like a buff heal focused build and not a pure offense build. Which I know might seem odd for a Kazinti, but it makes sense. He uses Polaron, not because I think it has any connection to the Kazinti, but because of the fact that I was kind of sort of at a certain period of time just going for um, whatever damage types fit. Or he used to use the full set for the Jim Hadar space set that you got from the story missions. I didn't actually have a good reason for him to use it. I just felt like it. And then I eventually switched to having him use the Disco Rep set. Well, okay, using a combination of things, some of which are Disco Reps stuff, some of which aren't. But, well, I'm just going with whatever he's comfortable at that point. But that was the reason why I gave him a Polaron build, is that the Polaron build was in order to work with the old Jim Hadar set, even though I didn't actually have any real reason for me to use the Jim Hadar set. He's currently using an Amory because of the fact that for a Xinti, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for him to stick to Federation vessels. So, having something that's a cool looking alien ship just makes sense. Uh, Honestly, that's about as far as it goes because, like, he has a whole bunch of bridge officers that aren't really anything that have a specific reason for being there. Like, a lot of them have the future Enterprise themed uniforms solely because of the fact that I looked at it as like, huh, you know what? If I'm going to have someone who's a Xinti working for Starfleet, yeah, sure, I'll have him intentionally wear something that just doesn't look like a standard Federation uniform, because this is something that showed up on screen being used by the Federation in a possible timeline, but in no timeline is this look actually considered normal. It's never been used by present day Starfleet, only the weird alternate future Starfleet. So it made sense to me for him to use that. And this has gone on long enough. Yeah, that's 4 characters out of I think 19. Yeah, if I continue this, I'm going to do separate videos for the rest of them. Oh yeah, also his costume here is this weird mix of things because of the fact that they went with the idea that he wears trophies, like he wears the sash thing because of the fact that he's killed a bunch of Klingons, and a Terran belt because of the fact that he beat up a bunch of Terrans, and a Jim Hadar backpack because he stole it off the Jim Hadar and stuff like that. But yeah, I know. It's one of those like paper thin character concept things. Oh yeah, also the Iconian Meridian. I didn't actually have a headpiece for him at the time when that came out, so I decided to throw that on too. Anyway, though, this is one of those things where it's just like a weird mismatch between like, okay, it's an MMO character, yes, but it's an MMO character that actually has like more than just like, oh, I'm going to do the thing that does the big damage numbers. Nah, that's not fun. Alrighty then. Well, I'll see you guys.